Picture Sunday nights in the 1960s. Families gathered around glowing television sets, the smell of dinner still hanging in the air, settling in for another adventure at the Ponderosa. For 14 seasons, Bonanza wasn't just a show, it was an institution. It was the first Western filmed in color, a sprawling saga of family, frontier justice, and moral complexity that captivated over 400 million viewers worldwide. But behind those sweeping Nevada vistas and heartwarming family moments lay casting battles, near cancellations, tragic real-life drama, and decisions that almost killed the show before it started. Today, we're counting down 13 weird facts you didn't know about Bonanza. If you've got memories of the Cartwrights riding across your childhood living room, hit that subscribe button and let's take this trip down memory lane together. Number 13. The show almost died in color. Here's the irony that almost killed Bonanza before it became a phenomenon. NBC chose to make it the network's first color western, specifically to sell RCA color televisions. NBC's parent company manufactured them. Brilliant cross-promotion, right? Except in 1959, barely anyone owned a color TV. The show limped through its first 2 seasons with dismal ratings because most Americans were watching the Cartwrights in black and white, while competing networks aired grittier westerns that looked just fine without color. NBC executives nearly pulled the plug twice. What saved it? Pure stubbornness and a scheduling miracle. When the show moved to Sunday nights in its 3rd season and color TV ownership finally started climbing, audiences discovered what they'd been missing. That expensive gamble on color nearly bankrupted the show's future, but it ultimately made Bonanza visually unforgettable. Sometimes being ahead of your time almost kills you before it makes you legendary. Number 12. Pernell Roberts hated being a Cartwright. While America fell in love with Adam Cartwright, Pernell Roberts was quietly miserable. The classically trained actor felt trapped playing the eldest son, publicly calling the show junk television and criticizing its scripts as juvenile. He battled with producers constantly, demanding more complex storylines and chafing against what he saw as a creative straitjacket. Roberts believed Bonanza wasted his talents on simplistic morality plays when he could have been doing Shakespeare. His bitterness wasn't subtle. He complained to reporters, created tension on set, and made no secret of his contempt for the Western genre. After 6 seasons of fighting, Roberts quit in 1965, walking away from steady paychecks and stardom. Ironically, he spent the next decade struggling to find substantial work, forever associated with the role he despised. The show survived his departure just fine, but Roberts learned a hard lesson. Sometimes, the part you're running from is the best thing that'll ever happen to your career. Number 11. The Ponderosa was geographically impossible. Every episode opened with that burning map showing the Ponderosa's location near Lake Tahoe. Beautiful imagery, complete fiction. The Cartwright Ranch, as depicted in the show, couldn't possibly exist where they said it did. The supposed 1,000 square miles of Ponderosa timberland would have stretched across the California-Nevada border, encompassing areas that were either barren desert, already settled towns, or literal mountainsides where nothing could grow. Historians and Western enthusiasts spent years pointing out that the lush forests shown in exterior shots were actually filmed in California locations that looked nothing like actual Nevada terrain. The show's writers cheerfully ignored geography, having characters ride to Virginia City, Carson City, and Reno as if they were neighboring towns, when they're actually spread across significant distances. But here's the thing, nobody cared. The Ponderosa existed in viewers' imaginations as a perfect Western paradise, and sometimes the myth is better than the map. Geography is just details when you're building legends. Number 10. Dan Blocker's death nearly destroyed the cast. When Dan Blocker died suddenly from a pulmonary embolism in May 1972, just weeks after filming ended for season 13, the cast and crew were devastated beyond professional loss. Blocker wasn't just Hoss. He was the heart of the production, the guy who kept everyone laughing between takes and mediated conflicts. Lorne Greene considered him a son. Michael Landon fell into depression. The network wanted to continue, but the question nobody could answer was how to address Hoss's absence. They couldn't recast him. Blocker was irreplaceable. They refused to kill him off screen. It felt disrespectful. So when season 14 premiered in September 1972, Hoss simply wasn't there, never mentioned, never explained, just gone. This ghostly erasure felt wrong to everyone involved. The show limped through one final season with a hollow center, ratings plummeting, before NBC mercifully canceled it in January 1973. Blocker's death didn't just take Haas. It took the family dynamic that made Bonanza work, proving some absences are too large to write around. Number 9. Lorne Greene was the voice of doom before becoming Pa. Before Ben Cartwright became America's ideal father figure, Lorne Greene had one of the most terrifying jobs in broadcasting. During World War II, he was the chief newsreader for the CBC in Canada, delivering grim updates about battles, casualties, and the war's darkest moments. His deep, authoritative voice became so associated with bad news that Canadians nicknamed him the Voice of Doom. Families would tense up when Greene came on the radio because they knew something terrible was coming. After the war, he struggled to shake that association, typecast as the bearer of tragedy. Hollywood eventually discovered him, but that grave authority never quite left his performances. When NBC cast him as Ben Cartwright, they were getting that same commanding presence, just redirected toward frontier wisdom instead of wartime grief. It's a strange arc, from announcing deaths across Europe to playing a father figure who embodied hope and moral clarity. Sometimes your greatest strength becomes your prison before it becomes your legacy. Number 8. Michael Landon wrote himself into heartthrob status. Little Joe wasn't originally supposed to be the show's breakout star. That honor was expected to go to Adam, but Michael Landon had other plans. He started writing episodes in the second season, and mysteriously, Little Joe's storylines became increasingly central and romantic. Landon wrote himself into situations where Joe would rescue beautiful women, have passionate love affairs, and generally be the Cartwright most likely to rip his shirt off. It was shameless self-promotion, and it worked brilliantly. Teen magazines started featuring Landon on covers. Fan mail addressed to Little Joe buried the studio. By season 4, Landon was receiving more letters than the rest of the cast combined. The other actors noticed, particularly Pernell Roberts, who resented Landon's manipulation of storyline. But here's the genius. Landon understood television in ways the classically trained Roberts never did. He knew audiences wanted romance and emotion, not theatrical complexity. So he gave them Little Joe, turned himself into a teen idol, and used Bonanza as a launching pad for writing and directing that would define his entire career. Number 7. The Cartwrights killed their wives, repeatedly. One of Bonanza's strangest running elements was its treatment of women, specifically how the Cartwright wives kept dying under increasingly bizarre circumstances. Ben Cartwright was widowed 3 times, each son having a different mother, each woman meeting a tragic end. Adam's mother, Elizabeth, died in childbirth. Haas's mother, Inger, was killed by Indians. Little Joe's mother, Marie, died in a horse-riding accident. The show occasionally featured flashback episodes showing these doomed romances, but the pattern became absurdly dark. No woman who married a Cartwright survived. Worse, whenever one of the sons fell in love during the series, which happened constantly, that woman would inevitably die, leave, or turn out to be unsuitable before the episode ended. Critics joked that the Ponderosa was cursed, a black hole where romance went to perish. The real reason was practical. The show's format required maintaining the 4-man family dynamic, so permanent female characters threatened the formula. Still, 14 seasons of dead, departed, or disastrous love interests created an unintentionally grim legacy. The Cartwrights could tame the frontier, but they couldn't keep a woman alive. Let's pause for a second. Which Cartwright was your favorite growing up? Was it wise Ben, brooding Adam, gentle giant Haas, or hot-headed Little Joe? Drop your answer in the comments, and if you're enjoying this trip back to the Ponderosa, smash that like button. Number 6. The show created the modern theme park Western Town. When Bonanza became a phenomenon, a businessman named Bill Anderson had an idea that sounds obvious now but was revolutionary then. Build a real-life Ponderosa ranch that fans could visit. In 1967, he opened a theme park near Lake Tahoe, featuring a full-scale replica of the Cartwright Ranch House, complete with authentic props and costumes from the show. It was one of the first television-based theme attractions ever created, predating most modern TV tie-in experiences by decades. The Ponderosa Ranch theme park became wildly successful, attracting hundreds of thousands of visitors annually who wanted to walk through Ben's study, sit in Haas's favorite chair, and pretend they were part of the family. The park operated for 41 years, long outlasting the show itself, before closing in 2004. Its success inspired countless other TV show-themed attractions and proved that audiences didn't just want to watch their favorite shows, they wanted to inhabit them. That little theme park in Nevada essentially invented the blueprint for immersive fan experiences decades before anyone called them that. Number 5. Virginia City became a real tourist destination. Because of the show before Bonanza, Virginia City, Nevada was a dying mining town with maybe a few hundred residents and crumbling Old West buildings nobody cared about. The show changed everything. By constantly referencing Virginia City as the Cartwright's nearest town and filming occasional scenes there, Bonanza accidentally created a tourist boom. Fans started making pilgrimages to walk the same streets the Cartwrights supposedly rode through, even though most of the show was filmed in California. Local business owners caught on fast, renovating historic buildings and leaning hard into the Western aesthetic. Saloons reopened, gift shops appeared, museums dedicated to the Comstock lode mining era suddenly had visitors. By the late 1960s, Virginia City had transformed from a ghost town into a thriving tourist destination, its economy almost entirely dependent on Bonanza fans seeking authenticity. The irony is delicious. A fictional family from a show that rarely filmed there saved a real town from extinction. Virginia City exists today as a preserved Old West experience, largely because the Cartwrights made people care about Nevada history they'd otherwise have ignored completely. Number 4. The show's signature music wasn't originally composed for it. That iconic Bonanza theme, the galloping, triumphant orchestral piece that screamed Western epic, has an unusual origin story. Composers Jay Livingston and Ray Evans wrote it specifically for the show, but the melody was partly inspired and structured around musical ideas they'd been developing for other projects that never materialized. More surprisingly, the show's instrumental score throughout episodes heavily recycled classical music and existing compositions, reorchestrated to sound Western. Budget constraints meant the producers couldn't afford original scores for every episode, so music director David Rose pulled from public domain sources and earlier NBC productions, creating a library of recurring musical cues. Sharp-eared viewers noticed the same dramatic strings appearing in different episodes during fights, romances, and chases. This wasn't laziness, it was economical genius. By creating a consistent musical vocabulary, the show developed an emotional shorthand. Certain musical phrases meant danger, others meant heartfelt moments. That recycling helped make Bonanza feel cohesive across hundreds of episodes, turning limitation into stylistic consistency. Sometimes creativity is just making smart choices when you can't afford the alternative. Number 3. NBC almost replaced the entire cast after season 1. The first season's ratings disaster sparked panic at NBC headquarters. Executives, convinced the show's failure was the actors' fault rather than the color television issue, seriously considered replacing the entire Cartwright family for season 2. Internal memos suggested finding more bankable Western stars and starting fresh with new actors in the same setting. They approached several established film actors, including supposedly James Coburn and Rory Calhoun, about taking over various Cartwright roles. Lorne Greene, Dan Blocker, Pernell Roberts, and Michael Landon spent summer 1960 genuinely unsure if they'd return. What saved them was producer David Dortort's furious resistance. He threatened to quit, arguing that replacing the family would destroy the show's core concept. The actors had developed chemistry that couldn't be replicated with strangers. Dortort eventually convinced NBC to give them one more season with a better time slot. When the show finally found its audience in season 3, those same executives who'd wanted everyone fired took credit for having faith in the cast. The near replacement remains one of television's great what-if moments, a reminder that sometimes the suits almost destroy perfection because they're reading the wrong data. Number 2, Hoss Cartwright accidentally became a Vietnam War symbol. During the late 1960s, something unexpected happened. American soldiers serving in Vietnam adopted Hoss as an unlikely mascot. Dan Blocker's character, gentle, loyal, good-hearted, strong, represented everything those young men hoped they still were despite the war's brutality. Troops would reference Hoss in letters home, use "what would Hoss do" as a moral compass, and plaster his image in barracks and on vehicles. Blocker, a decorated Korean War veteran himself, was deeply moved. He visited troops in Vietnam, sent care packages, and answered hundreds of letters from soldiers who saw Hoss as proof that goodness could survive anything. The phenomenon was strange and beautiful, a fictional cowboy from a family western becoming a touchstone for real men facing real horror. When Blocker died in 1972, Vietnam veterans sent condolence letters describing how much Haas meant to them in their darkest moments. That a network TV character could provide genuine comfort to soldiers says something profound about why Bonanza mattered beyond entertainment. Sometimes the simplest stories carry people through the hardest time. Number 1. The show ended because nobody could replace Dan Blocker. While officially Bonanza was canceled due to declining ratings, the truth is simpler and sadder. The show died because Haas did. After Dan Blocker's death, the producers tried everything to fill the void. They introduced new characters, including Ben's nephew and various ranch hands, hoping someone could recreate that gentle giant energy. Nothing worked. The dynamic was broken. Haas wasn't just comic relief or the muscle. He was the show's conscience, the character who made the Cartwrights feel like a real family rather than just 3 men living together. Without him, episodes felt hollow, mechanical. Lorne Greene and Landon were going through the motions, mourning their friend while pretending the Ponderosa was still whole. Viewers felt it too. The ratings collapse wasn't about competition or changing tastes, it was about absence. NBC canceled Bonanza in January 1973 after 14 seasons, but really it ended that day in May 1972 when Blocker died. The final season was just everyone admitting what they already knew. Some losses you can't write around, some characters you can't replace, and some families can't survive when their heart is gone. And there you have it, 13 weird facts about the show that defined Sunday nights for a generation. Which of these facts surprised you the most? Drop a comment and share your Ponderosa memories with us. Until next time, happy trails, and thanks for riding along.